highest level of average organic content in the world is in Northern Europe, which is just 1.48%. United States is 1.25%. India, Southern Europe is 1.1%. India is 0.68%. Africa is 0.3%. So anything below 1% is called desertification. So India is already there in the process of desertification. 62% of India's soil or land is considered totally degraded. So at this rate, it is very clear to everybody that in another 25 to 40 years, somewhere in that range, the world will face severe food crisis unless we enhance the soil quality. When I say soil quality, first and foremost thing is to recognize soil as a living entity. The largest living system in the… not just on the planet, in the known universe, is the topsoil in the world. The top 15 to 18 inches of soil has more organisms than the number of miles between here and sun, 100 times over. That's how many organisms there are. A handful of soil has 8 to 10 billion organisms. But this is depleting at a pace that is dangerous, at a pace that could spell a disaster in the next 25 to 30 years' time. Everything is pointing in this direction, but we as a generation of people have a huge challenge in front of us. At the same time, we have privilege that we are in a cusp of time, that if we do the right things, if we bring in the right policies and act upon it, in the next 10 to 15 years' time, we can make a significant turnaround and be that generation which turn back from the brink of a disaster. That's where we are, or if we sleep through this situation, we will walk into the disaster. So that is where the situation is. That's why the Save Soil movement. I've been talking about it for the last 30 years, and everybody says, Sadhguru, what you're saying is wonderful, it's really great, and then they will sleep on it. So I thought I had to do something to shock them awake, and I don't hold any office, I'm not a minister, I'm not an official, I don't wear a uniform. The only way I can do it is put my life at risk and wake up people. Fortunately, since March 21st, 2.3 billion people have spoken about soil. Plus, when I landed in India, till that moment I had conducted 467 events along the way, averaging about 8 to 9 events per day. So, if the ride didn't kill me, the event should have none of them kill me, that means Save Soil must be successful. With all of you participating, I'm sure we will be a success story. Say, suppose I asked you to do something, what would you do? Maybe have a small patch of kitchen garden. You will go try to increase the soil organic content or make it fertile. That's very cute, but it's not a solution. This kind of activity would have been useful if we did in 50s and 60s. That is approximately 70 years ago. Today we have reached a point, even if you had 100 acres of land, if you make it very fertile, still it's not a solution, because there is no guarantee the next generation will keep it the same way. We need laws. Why we need laws is, see, if you go to the old part of Jaipur, I'm not so familiar with your city, but I'm sure if you go to the old part of any city for that matter, you will see homes are built wall to wall without any concept of a window. You have such a part in Jaipur also, I'm sure. Yes? Hello? You will have homes without any concept of a window, only one door entry, same door out. This is because there were no laws. Today if you have 10,000 square feet of land, you cannot build 10,000 square feet of building. Whatever 6, 7, 8, whatever they allow, that's how much you can build. If you build more than what you should, they will come and demolish it. This is a law. But if you have 100 acres of land, you can plow every inch of the land turn it into a desert in the next 10–15 years' time. Nobody will ask you, why have you done this? Because there is no law about it. First thing we need to understand is soil is not our property. It's a legacy that's come to us from previous generations in a living form. That is why we have eaten, that is why we have thrived. It is extremely important that we understand that we must pass it on this way to future generations. It's a living soil. So in a state like Rajasthan, you understand this very well. There are parts of Rajasthan which are fertile soil, there are parts of Rajasthan which are just sand and desert. So you clearly have a stark representation of the two. The difference is only this. If you had the organic content, you don't have. If you had enough organic content to add to this entire sand area of the Thar desert, you could make this entire thing into fertile lands. But you don't have the organic content. Where will you get it? Because there are only two sources. The plant life and animal life are the only two sources of organic content. You don't have that much plant life or animal life to generate that kind of organic content that you can make these deserts into fertile lands. Right now such efforts are going on in Saudi Arabia, Israel, UAE, where they're converting parts of desert into fertile lands. But it is costing them enormously. Nobody else can afford that kind of budgets. Billions of dollars they are spending to turn deserts into fertile lands. So, what can I do? Right now, as a citizen of a democratic nation, the important thing is you have to keep your voice raised. That is the most important thing, because governments are not elected to do something fantastic. Governments are elected to fulfill people's mandate. That mandate is not just by vote, it is also the voice of the people. And the voice of the people, not that today I spoke and it's over. We must keep the voice up and express our concern that we are ready for long-term policies. Tell me in which country, in which democratic country or any country for that matter, have 60% of the population stood up and expressed their concern for their future, their countries, future of their children. Where have they done? They will ask for petrol price 2 rupees reduction, they may get it. They will ask for 1% reduction in tax, they may get it. They may ask for this and that, they may get it. So all the time it's about short-termism, and accordingly governments are responding to that requirement. It's time that citizenship expresses long-term concern about this nation and about the future of our children.
For ecology, bad for the ecology, that's all. Hello? Human beings are a consequence. You're a consequent life of what is happening in the soil ecology. You're not separate from that. You can either get it right now, or you can get it when you're buried. When you're buried, you'll always understand you're part of the soil ecology. Even now you are, because over 60% of your body is actually mind of your life, only 40% is your parental genetics. That's how it is. So unfortunately, this little bit of information that you gather in your head, you start thinking you're above the ecological process and you are going to save it. No, we are part of ecology. If the basic ecology is not in a good condition, this will not be in a good condition. You think if the roots and the stem and the leaves are not in good condition, you would think the flowers will be in good condition. Is it possible? It's just that. In many ways, we are the flower of evolution, of the evolutionary process. We are the peak, we are the flower of the evolutionary process. Now the flower got so ready that flower thinks it doesn't need the plant, it doesn't need the roots. All the best.
Children understand that because they live in this world, they've still not gotten here. If you live here for this ideal life, I'm not talking about ladies' fashion, I'm talking you're above the ground, you're not on the ground. So, what can the journalists do? What can the media houses do? How can you ask me such a question? Because when you know the power that journalism has and media houses have in influencing and stimulating a society, I don't want anybody
First thing is, we must understand, this is not an agitation, this is not a protest, this is not an expression of our anger or resentment against someone. I want everybody to understand that all of us, knowingly or unknowingly, we are all partners in this destruction. The only way around is all of us become partners in the solution. Now, we have found so many ways to divide humanity. Caste, creed, gender, religion, nationality, race, any number of things, hundreds of ways how you and me are different. When so many differences are there, we need some common factors, otherwise we cannot exist in this world. We cannot exist in this world if we only go on looking at differences. You have a child, so obviously you're married. Between your wife and you, there are differences, isn't it? If you only go on plucking the differences, you think the marriage will last. You also look at common factors, isn't it? There are differences, but there are common factors. That's why life goes on. So whether it is this nation or this world, there are differences between people. It's all right, we are different and it's fine, but common factors are very important. So there are many ways to look at it. Safe soil is one thing. Soil is the source from which all of us come. No matter what is your religion, what is your caste, what is your gender, what your nationality is, you come from the same soil. All of us are eating of the same soil every day. When we die, we go back to the same soil. Well, religions and castes may even have separate graveyards, cremations and graveyards. But two different religions, Indians and Pakistanis, if they're buried together, will they merge in the soil at least? So this caste and that caste, if you put in the soil, will they merge? Man and woman, if they put together, will they merge there? So I'm saying, this is a common factor. This is a common denominator which is very, very important for us. And it is our survival, it is our economics, it is our basic nourishment, it is the mother of our mothers. But unfortunately, in most nations, still people are treating soil as an inert substance. Just about everywhere, people refer to soil as a resource. See, all of us have fed upon our mother's breasts. Shall we call her a resource, or is she the source of our life? How is it for you? Is she the source of our life, or is she a resource? The day you call your mother a resource, you've lost your fundamental humanity. So this is the same thing, because soil is the mother of our mothers, isn't it? All our mothers came from the same soil. The moment we call it a resource, we have forsaken our humanity in some sense. It's time to regain that. As we said earlier, this is not our property, it's just come to us. It's our basis to pass it on. Now you have a child. It is not because I am speaking like this, it is not because of some morality or philosophy or religion that you want your daughter to live better than you, isn't it? Is it intrinsic to you, or is it a teaching from somebody? It's intrinsic to you, isn't it? I'm saying right now, though you have such an intrinsic and basic emotion that you want your children to live better than you, right now all of us are busy dismantling the foundations of possible good life for future generations. That's what we're doing, because we are driving the world towards a famine. By 2040, 45, we'll be producing 40% less food and our population will be well over 9 billion. That's not a world where you want to leave your little girl, isn't it? That should not happen. But we have the power to turn it around, especially media and media houses. It's very important, it's not one day affair. Okay, I came, you will report me, I know. That is not the point. This must be reminded again, because policies won't happen simply like that. I must tell you, to make certain fundamental changes in soil regeneration in southern India, it's taken over 11.5 years of non-stop activity. Today, certain things have been put in place, But that's not enough, it has to become a national policy. Because when it comes to soil, our state boundaries, our national boundaries means nothing. These are our problems. These lines that we draw are our problems. But when it comes to microbial life, when it comes to life, it works as a global system, not as this nation and that nation. Planet is not a cake for you to cut it into pieces and say, this is my piece, I will take it. Life doesn't work like that. So, when it comes to life, we must rise beyond the boundaries that we have drawn between each other, because that is the way life happens. This is not a philosophy, this is not my ideology, this is the way life works. If we are not in tune with that, we will threaten life. That's exactly what we are doing right now.